Hi everyone. Today I want to share a card that we made at my last stamp camp, and I normally have a sample to say here's what we're going to make, and then we make it, but I can't find my sample anywhere. I must have put it somewhere goofy while I was cleaning up, and now all of my samples are missing from stamp camp, so they're probably in some odd drawer or bin or something. Anyway, I'll find them, but they're gone. So you're going to just find out what we make as we go. So we're using the Cheerful Daisies stamp set. I've made quite a few cards with this. It's really beautiful, and if you haven't taken a look at it, please do. There's some gorgeous papers that go with it also that I am not using this time, although I did use on my vase pop-up in a previous video, so you can take a look at that. It's great paper. Right now we're using these dies. It's pretty much focused on the dies, hardly anything focused on the stamps actually for this card, but I'm going to talk to you about that in a bit. So these are the pieces from Stamp Camp, and I think I can remember how I put this together. Stamp Camp was last weekend, and I'm kind of cleaning up as I go. So the dies cut out, I'm going to show you, I have this, it cuts out this big die all together. It's 3 flowers kind of attached like this, and a leaf that is attached together and like this, but you don't have to keep them attached together. So what I did was I cut them apart. And then there are also the same size flowers that are separate, but it was so much easier to just cut these out. And if you'll notice, the ones that are attached together have these fun little dots, these little details that these do not. And the reason for that is that these cut out the images here. And so you're going to stamp the centers and things like that. So it's a really beautiful stamp set. The dies can be used for the stamps or on their own, and I really like that. So here you can use these flowers on their own, or you can use them with the stamps. I opted for this one because I wanted these little details. And then I wanted even further details. One of my stamp campers says that if one step will do, I will try to make more steps because I like the more steps the better. More complicated. I don't know why I like it that way, but I do. So I actually cut out some of these layering pieces as well, and I'm going to put those directly on top just for some more detail. I also cut out for everyone this little lacy leaf and then a non-lacy leaf. So those are all the pieces that we're going to use. And then I wanted to use the Wishing You the Brightest Birthday. Actually, that's what we used at Stamp Camp, but actually I need an Oopsie Daisy. There you go. I need an Oopsie Daisy, so sorry, Stamp. So I'm gonna use that for this one. But my sample, if I could show it to you, actually had the Wishing You the Brightest Birthday in the center. So now this is called a peekaboo card, and what you're going to do is you're going to see the inside as you open it. So I thought it would be fun. I always try to, if there's something that I can cut ahead of time for Stamp Camp, then I do. So what I did was I pre-cut all of these out. And this is Stylish Shapes. There's dies that come in multiple sizes of circles and squares, and I cut them all out ahead of time, which then leaves me with a ton of circles ahead of time that I'm going to have to use for something, right? Because these are super fun, and I've got like 17 of them, so I'm going to have to find something to do with all of these circles. And I could mix the sides too, because this is the back. And I think most people at Stamp Camp used the stripe size, like my sample, but some people turned it over and used the floral side too, so you could do that. All right, so how I put this together, I actually cut yet another piece with a circle, and I did that to sandwich in between, and I just wanted another layer because, like I said, I like more layers. So the easiest way to put this together is to stick the pink one down first. This is Bubble Bath. It's a newer color, and I did that by just putting some liquid glue along the circle And then I went from the back because I wanted this to be centered so that when it's open that it looks nice, as well as look nice from the outside. So I've got it's easier to center it when you can see this white opening. So this is the inside of the card, and this is the outside. So I've got that in there, kind of crooked, but that's okay, that's going to be covered. And then I wanted my striped piece to be up on dimensionals a little bit. I like when there's a gap and you can kind of see more dimension in the card. So this time we're going to use, oops, some dimensionals to go around that piece. I have a feeling I'm going to find the sample card like as I'm talking. I feel like it's got to be right here. It's so crazy that I don't know where it is. Okay, so I'm going to put my corners as always, but then I'm going to add a couple more dimensionals around the circle because I really want it to stand out from the base of the card. I like the shadow that you get that shows the dimension. So I'm using a little more dimensionals than I normally would on the back of a card. Normally I use like 5. I do the 4 corners and maybe 1 or 2 in the middle, but I'm using more on this one. Alright, so then I'm going to go ahead and put this down. And I've left myself like a quarter of an inch border, or an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Alright, so there I have my front. Okay, so stamping is a little scary because normally I like to stamp on a piece and then glue it down. So I don't want to make a mistake, but we're stamping directly on the inside of the card. I'm making sure I don't have any ink on my finger because I was really being messy today with some fun projects. Alright, so I'm going to stamp my oopsie daisy, so sorry. And one thing I noticed is I'm using a really big block. When you use a block that's too big, you can accidentally get some edges. So I'm going to actually clean this off because there's ink there. Okay, so I'm going to go with a different stamp. It's actually good to get a stamp that's closest to the size that you're using. See, this is too small, but I'm going to angle it. I just packed up for Card Buffet, and at Card Buffet I use all my blocks practically. So I don't have every size still available to use right now because it's all packed up for tomorrow's Card Buffet. Okay, so now you can try to stamp straight in here. I'm going to put my head in the front of the camera. Oh, maybe I can do it without putting my head. I'll go above the camera. And I'm going to stamp straight down. There, very nice. So I was worried on my larger one that I would have rubbed some of that ink onto the front of my card, which would have been a bummer. Okay, so there's my stamped part. Okay, now I'm going to use those dies. And like I said, they come like this, but I already had them cut apart. And then I added these details. And then I wanted to add some yellow center to the cutouts. So, oops, I got 2 of those. All right, I'm going to take a little dauber. I love these. Kind of stick your finger in there, and then I'm going to ink up the centers of my daisies with some Lemon Lolly, which is a new color. I love it. And I'm doing both the bottom piece and the top piece. Okay, so let's see, this is the top to this. This is the top to that. And just a little bit right there. Okay. And now I'm going to glue these together. Two and three. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and put them down. So I can't remember how I had them on my original card. I feel like this came this way. And this one was up here, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Like I said, I made it a week or so ago and then forgot. All right, so I'm gonna put some adhesive. I only put just a tiny bit of adhesive on here, and that's okay because this is gonna go right on top. And I don't need adhesive so much on the tips here because they are gonna be kind of overhanging, so I don't want any glue on these petals over here. I wanna focus my glue, my adhesive, on the bottom half of those petals. I'm gonna go ahead and lay this down. And then this little cutie can go up here. And I don't notice is he kind of facing downward? I think that's how I want him. Okay. And then this final one and this final leaf are actually going to be inside the card. I want it to show through so it's all layered and beautiful. But I'm going to tuck him actually onto the card, inside base of the card. So let's see here, something like that. And then this leaf, before that's too dry, I gotta stick that down. So let me open it and see where this would look nicest. I kind of want it coming up the top here. All right. And that way it shows from both the outside and the inside. So this is my card. It was really fast and easy to put together once you've got all your pieces cut out. So we made this at Stamp Camp and I think everyone enjoyed it. So here's the outside and then it's a peekaboo. You can see the inside already and it still looks lovely when you open it. You've still got this little daisy here. And the outside again. I love all the layers. You can pop that up. Now you can't see it on my desk, but if you stand it up, you've kind of got this dimension with the flowers coming through. And if you wanted to go crazy, you could cut even more daisies and tuck another one up here. But I thought that sometimes less is more, and I love that you cut those 3 daisies all at once and just kind of spread them out and get a nice full pretty card front. So I hope you like it. It's the Cheerful Daisies stamp set and Cheerful Daisies dies, and these dies again are really fun and I've used them. Go ahead and do a little search. You can find my vase pop-up card. I think it uses the same paper, and then I made another one with another paper, and there's a little twig in here if you need some branches, and then there's a label which I'm using in one of my card buffet cards, so that's why it's not in this box. I have to go add this to the box before I don't like my things to be separate. So I gotta go add this back to my card buffet box. All right, so here it is. Here's my Oops-a-Daisy. So sorry, I do need to send this to somebody. And anyway, I think it's adorable. And I love that I have a card that says Oops-a-Daisy, so sorry. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll subscribe and hit the like button so that it helps my channel grow. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.